And we thank you very much for joining us. We're here every Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock with something that we think is of community interest and or of some concern. And if you think that you have something which fits into that category, you'd like to find out how you can be a part of the program, well, why don't you drop us a line? Address it to a Let's Talk program in care of Vaughan Radio, P.O. Box 195, Charlestown in Nevis. So give us a call. Our numbers are 1-869-469-1616 and or 1700. And by the way, those will be the numbers you'll use to be a part of this evening's discussion. Again, thank you all very much for joining us. This is your voice in the community, talk that get results. With regard to your participation in the show, we encourage you to call in on the numbers listed 1-869-469-1616 and or 1700. Here's a suggestion. If you have a question or a comment, perhaps you can get a pencil, piece of paper, write it down so that you're well organized. And you're getting on the show, you take as little time as possible so we can accommodate as many of you as we can. We ask only, first of all, you respect yourselves and then respect others, because we will not accept anything we deem that's not within our broadcast standards. But we encourage you to always be forceful with your point. Again, thank you all very much for joining us. You can also join us on our YouTube channel at Vaughan Radio. Click subscribe, or on our Facebook page at Vaughan Radio for the video stream of this show. Let me take this opportunity. Some might argue it's old already, but since it's the first time we're meeting via this forum, a happy, wonderful, and prosperous New Year from all of us on the show. I hope I didn't disappoint, but we took a little time to work something out for the first show for 2022. Alright? I like to deal with royalty when I can, at least. So, tonight, Oscar Brown, King Astro, good evening and thank you for being with us.
Good evening, Webbo, and good evening to all the listeners to the Caribbean Only Powerhouse. Allow me as well to wish everybody all the best for 2022, and I want to send special shout out to my uncle and his family in St. Croix, Uncle Wakey, who I know is tuning. He doesn't miss Let's Talk for anything, unless he's cooped up somewhere in a hospital or something. So I know Uncle Wakey and his family is tuning, so I want to wish him a special good night. And good night to all the other listeners, to Vaughan Radio, all the fans of Let's Talk. Thank you, Webbo, for having me here this evening.
I want to let you know how much it is, how pleased we are to have you. As I said, I wanted to make sure that we got something real good for the first show. Not that we don't have everything that is good, but I'm intrigued by your success, and I followed Calypso for a bit, and I'm seeing something which only people who go inside the numbers and so on will see, but we'll look at that a little later on. But first off, let me take the opportunity to congratulate you. You won again, right?
Yes.
You won again. For at the federal level, the St. Kitts Nevis National Carnival, right? Mm-hmm. Somehow, everybody doesn't know that. So I want to make sure that everybody knows.
and listening to Let's Talk, everybody will know, because this has a wide listenership.
Right. So I wanted to make sure that everybody knows, and we're going to talk about that in that competition. Mm-hmm. But before all that, I mentioned, I don't know, everybody does it, including myself, it seems. I said we're with Oscar Brown. And then I said Astro, and then somebody else put something else in front of it. But before that, it was Astro.
Yes.
So you're Oscar Brown, mm-hmm. and then you became Astro. How? Yes. And why?
Astro, all the credit must be given to Samuel Williams, my best friend, my brother. We grew up together, went through primary school, high school, do all the good things that we are doing together. And he always used to chastise me about my dance. He said, "You can't dance, man. You dance like an astronaut in space." And that name stuck with me. And when I decided to enter a school Calypso competition back in 1987, I decided that I would go with that name. But after I elevated to the seniors, I decided to drop the knot and go with Astro.
So you didn't mind, because almost everybody has what we call a nickname, another name that the mother or the father, somebody didn't give them. And then it seems to me as if somehow they like that more.
It's a funny thing, yes. And you know, a lot of people, even in business, a lot of people, there are times when I would receive check in Astro, you know, and fortunately 1 or 2 times I was able to get them cash because people know me. But people tend to feel like that is my name, and when I tell them how I actually arrived at Astro, they couldn't believe, and they said, "Boy, you take a name like that?"
But it's working.
It's working.
Because who knows? Maybe if you had a name, let's say like Webbo or something, you wouldn't win so many crowns. So maybe Astro has something to do with it.
Maybe that, I want to think so too, because funny enough, a friend of mine actually looked it up one time, looked up Astro, and it said something about being in the stars, and I was rather surprised because I never even had anything attributed to Astro other than the fact that I dropped knot and take Astro. And then she said, "No, but you know, it's saying that you're of the stars, you know." And I said, "Oh, well, interestingly, okay."
So a lady told you that.
A lady told me.
And you believe it?
Well, of course.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so you work with Astro, and that's how it came about.
Yes.
The other part about it, you said that the fellow said that you couldn't dance. That was true?
I still don't believe I can dance. I say I'm doing a little better. But yes, he was right.
He was right. And you didn't mind?
I didn't mind.
Because it was the truth?
It was the truth.
Okay. And not that you stayed in can't dance column. You began to do some work in that area?
Yes.
Okay. So you entered the school competition, right, to sing. Could you sing at the time?
No.
But you know, a lot of times, including myself, people who cannot sing, somehow, they like to sing.
Well, yes, because just recently I was conversing with Sam too, and he said, when I heard you said you were going to go sing Calypso, I was saying, what? This man can't hold a note for nothing. What are you going to sing for? So he was even surprised when I decided I was going to sing Calypso.
Okay, so the point is, so it came from inside within you.
Yes.
Right? You wanted to do it. Why was there a reason why you wanted to do it? You listened to Calypsos, you saw somebody, what?
Yes, I was always a Calypso fan. Growing up, I used to be present with the battles with Shortshot and Swallow. And Swallow was always my favorite. And then after Bingy would have entered into the competition and was doing so well, and I was pretty close to him, also Bashi and Chevy and those fellows, they sort of motivated me to wanted to do what they were doing. And back in the days as well, we were able to go to 1 or 2 of the Calypso shows and stuff like that. So it was always something that I loved. The Calypso music was always something kind of in me, something that I always wanted to do because of seeing others around me doing it, and they seemed to enjoy it and stuff like that. So it was something that I felt like I would eventually do. So
you mentioned Bingy, you mentioned Bashi and Chevy, and I want to add Rascap. And those, that was a group from Brown Hill, and I'm sure some other folks will want to add in a few more, but a lot of folks wouldn't know about Bashi and Rascap and well, we had Chevy's music on the playground recently, and I spoke to Chevy after that, and he said surprisingly, a lot of young folks told him they heard the music all the time, but they never knew it was him.
That's true.
So okay, but that's from the Brown Hill area, and in those days, Brown Hill used to produce a lot of that kind of talent.
That's true. Because we also had people like Pim Pim. I had an uncle Champion who sang for one time. A guy Nika, we used to call him Creature in the competition. Mildred was also a part of those competitions back then. Reflector, who actually won that school show that I took part in, and went on to win the junior show, the junior Calypso competition that same year. So those, there was always a rich history, and you know that Zero, the first, I never had the opportunity to see Zero perform, but I've heard the stories of Zero, and it's well documented in our Culture Armor pages that he's the first Culture Armor Calypso monarch. So there was a rich history of Calypso from the Brown Hill area, so it was very easy for a young person who being at the feet of these guys, because when I was literally at the feet of these guys, every day I was there, sitting with them, watching them play their guitar, Nutsy and them fellows. Yeah, Nutsy and I used to write together. He'll play the guitar and I would write the lyrics and stuff like that. So I feel that it was destiny that I will eventually become a part of that group of Calypsonians from Brown Hill.
And one of the things that is said about Brown Hill, at least used to, I don't know if it is still that way. Brown Hill was a village that is sort of close, almost like a clique. When they go, whether it is sports, it's Calypso or what, you can always find this section. Yes. And even if they say that they don't talk to you when you reach back to Brown Hill, once you come out, you have the full support of that clique.
We used to talk.
Let's see this. Let's see something. Somebody want to tell us something, Astro. So let me do that quickly because tonight is kind of light. Hello, good evening.
Hey, Astro.
Yeah, I know.
Good night.
Astro, what's the one?
I good, thanks.
And Nevis girl tell me.
Okay, when you see Astro, tell him what the Nevis girl tell you.
Yes.
Okay, that fella, I banned him for a year.
Okay.
Right? And he look like he wants to get banned again. Anyway, enjoy your evening. Yes, Astro.
So I was saying that we normally term ourselves as being sort of clannish. And back in the days when we used to journey to town, even before I started in the seniors, I used to just marvel at how we will be together when Bingy come out to sing, or anybody from Brown. We just that time we could go up close to the stage. There was no barriers those times, so we could almost go on the stage literally.
Right. And
you will see hundreds of us right at the stage, and whether the music is sweet or bad, we was enjoying it. We were waving. We was in the performances. And I also used to be on stage. I was a frequent actor for Bingy back in those days. I was very frequent in his performances.
So you think, therefore, that sort of, let me use your term from now on, that sort of clannish way that Brown Hill had, it was helpful to you coming up as a young person and then getting the confidence to do what you do?
Most definitely, that would have contributed significantly, because you as a young fellow from Brown Hill heading into the shark infested waters of Calypso with the big guns like the Mikos and the Gingers and the this and that and stuff like that, you really needed energy, and you can only get the energy from a crowd that is favorable to you. So you know that when you enter the stage, you're very confident that your crowd, your clan will be there to push you and to encourage you. And that made the step so much easier.
And you think that the crowd not only gives you that sort of energy and confidence, you think it influenced the judges?
That's an interesting question. I've been told over the years that the judges are not swayed by it, but judges are human. I do believe that have an impact at times on some of the scores. And it's only natural that
yes.
that it will happen, because you're there singing and performing and everybody is going crazy around you. You tend to feel like, why, something nice is happening on the stage, and you may slip in a point here and there. And I believe, in all honesty, that it may have impacted judges over the years.
And you think that if the judges find that Astro is very popular with the crowd, and they go with Astro, then they might get a popular decision and support. You think that can be?
Yes, yes, because one of the things that one of my formula is to create music that would please the catch the interest of the crowd, please the crowd, and most of the times when you please the crowd, you will also please the judges. It doesn't always happen that way, but the vast majority of time, it's highly unlikely that the most popular calypso or the most popular performance on that night most times would win the competition. It's not always like that. And just recently I was looking at a show from Trinidad when David Rudder would have won the first crown, the one crown that he won back in 1985. And one of the persons was giving commentary, said it's very difficult for those songs to lose. They are so loved, everybody loved them.
Yes.
So he just had to show up on the night of the show and sing the songs. It works at times, it doesn't always work that way, but I believe the percentages are in favor that if you had a wonderful performance that is enjoyed by the crowd, most of the time you will sway the judges in your decision, in your direction.
Well, that is a debate by itself.
Yes.
Because I'm sure that we can have a real hot debate where people will tell you that before the crowd got a chance to sway the judges had already made the decision. But that's for another show. Okay, so we had you. So you were in the junior competition. So you had to be in school age or something like that?
Yes, you had to be under 18.
Okay.
So I actually did 2 years of the juniors. I did 87 and 88. And there's an interesting story with 1987. That's the first year that I entered. And I had this song about an anti-secession song back then. And a song that I wrote, and Bashi helped me with the music and stuff. He was my manager, Bashi. And I on the stage now perform. I think I performed at number 7. I could remember Zumba being a judge. Number 7 and number 8, because he met me after the show and he said, so I sang this song, beautiful performance, the crowd was all crazy. And then here come Astronaut now. That wasn't Astro then, there was Astronaut now, first time on stage.
So you started out as Astronaut?
Yeah, in the juniors.
Okay.
Yeah. So Astronaut now decided that he's going to sing the national anthem. You know, going to sing the national anthem because Chevy the manager says, sing the national anthem. And we don't have to show up on the second round because that would be the nail in the coffin.
Chevy was your manager?
Was my manager. Not Chevy, Bashi, sorry.
Oh, Bashi. Okay.
Bashi. So I gone now, I don't finish the song and I'm getting ready to leave the stage. I remember that I was supposed to sing the national anthem. So I started, oh, Land of Beauty, but no music playing, and I look around and I get stage fright right away. I couldn't go no farther than Oh, Land of Beauty. And that was it for me. Everything just went downhill.
But why did he want you to sing the national anthem? That was part of the song?
That was supposed to be part of the presentation. And so I couldn't remember anything else other than the first line. I was there caught in the lights. Oh, and I started to mumble some other stuff, and eventually I left the stage. The inexperience stepped in. So Zumba met me shortly after and he said, that was the last Calypso. I already put King on the sheet, and I left and I went to the bar. When I head into the bar, I look back, I hear you still up there singing. I just come back and whatever.
You see, I normally would say to my guys, am I good or not? Didn't I just say to you that it could be a different debate?
Yes.
Where and did you say the fellow was a judge?
Yes.
And you hear what he told you? Oh, okay, all right. Right, so you forgot the line, you got stage fright, and that was it for
that
you,
was it. Yeah,
for that competition.
I came back in the second
feel?
round. I sang, but the night I actually walked from town to Brownlee, you know. And that time I was living with my grandparents who lived next to where Sandy Shop is, right in that area. And I slept in the port on the veranda that night, rain falling, and I get in wet. I so upset with myself, man. It was like torture that night.
You tortured yourself?
Yeah, I mean, somewhat. I say, why did you do that? Why did you do that? And I said, management said do it. You know, the voice said, management said do it. So it was like I walked and I went home, and man, I didn't sleep for days. That was a very, very painful chapter. And I actually wanted to give up from there. I said, but I don't think I could handle those crowds out there. Because see what happened. I mean, the one time I end up on stage and get caught like a deer in headlights because I forgot the line. But the next year I was ready to go.
And that was the junior competition?
Junior competition.
You remember who won that competition?
Reflector would have won that competition.
Reflector was from Brownhill.
From Brownhill, yes. Llewellyn Paris, he goes by the name of Duke. Then he came first runner-up. And I believe it was either Lenny of blessed memory or Kurt Brown from Cotton Ground who would have placed second. I can't remember who placed second runner-up, but I know I didn't place that night.
So that was a junior. Then you went on and you did a couple more junior competitions.
I did one more. 1988 was the final year. Actually placed second runner-up. That year we started doing one song. So I placed second runner-up. Janice Nisbet's son, I remember his Calypso name then, he won that competition. And I believe again was Kurt Brown who would have placed first runner-up.
And then you went on to the senior Calypso, the senior segment right away? But next year, did you take a break?
Well, I actually tried, I actually showed up in Bath for practice. I think we were practicing by Prince at that time. I showed up there, and when I reached there and I see all these giants and stuff, I got stage fright. And I decided no, I would not be able to compete in here. So I actually left the band house and didn't compete again until 1997 in the seniors. So I was almost a 10-year break between my junior appearance and the seniors appearance.
You had a break, you said?
A break, yes.
Of
probably would have been like 88 to 97, would be about 9-10 years, just roughly about 9 years.
And why did you have that break?
I didn't feel mentally at that time that I was ready for the challenge of. I don't think I had the willpower then to defeat the guys who was at the top of the game then. Then to be, the band house was a turnout because you were there for like hours and you're small and new, so nobody really seen you to give you a practice. There was nobody to push you then.
Those days, for the benefit of the listeners who may not be able to go as far back as us, the bands that used to be who? Which bands?
I can't remember the name, but I know
you had Soul Survivors, you had ICs, you had Magnets.
Well, Magnets was the one who played for me for the juniors,
right.
But I could remember the leader of the band, or we were practicing in Bath by Prince, but I don't remember the band.
That's probably ICs.
Something like that, yes. Yeah. But I didn't make it. I made it to the band house, but that was it. I didn't stay around long enough to get practice because there was so much people, and I said, "My song ain't so good, the man sounds so good, the make one them that practice and so on so good." So I shun away from it because I just didn't have the confidence that I was ready for that level. But during that break, I did some writing. I actually did a few pieces of writing, poetry then, and got back the love and passion for Calypso from that.
Can you remember one of the first songs that you did, which you think that was recorded and that we might have? One of your early songs.
Outside of the juniors, the first song that I would have recorded and you would have had was Where Would I Be Without a Mother? It was actually recorded in the band house, roughly, when you started to play it on Von Radio. But eventually, after the season, I re-recorded it with Abonati at Abonati Studio. It was the first time I've been in a studio. Yeah.
And you did a number of competitions. You got back in when? About 92, you said?
97.
97. So you had some exploits by Ginger and Miko and this and that and so on and so forth. During those years before that, before 97, those guys were reigning, and Bingy and stuff like that. And then you decided, but these guys were at the element. But you decided to come back in.
Yes, because at that time, I felt like I was more confident, I was more mature in terms of, as a man personally, my personal development was at its highest at that time. My confidence level was high, and I could recall, I was actually in Montserrat during the time when I decided to take part. And I heard the likes of Baker then. Baker had a song about bad boys or something like that. And I said, man, Baker, them fellas, if man could do it, I could do it too. I'll be around the same age. So that was also a motivating factor to hear people like Baker and them guys involved in the Calypso as well.
And you, when was the first time you placed? You remember that?
2000.
In 2000?
Yes.
And you've been singing before that for how many years?
6 years, 97, 98, 99, 2000, about 4 years.
Okay. I'm going to just go at random, and I'm going to play a little bit of one of your songs. Right?
Calypso is the voice of the oppressed. So why are we treating it so shy? Dying slow, your vital signs showing a steady decline, caused by the virus of jam and wine. Calypso music is in distress, suffering from a growing lack of interest. Urgent attention is really needed to save this great cultural tradition. From Trinidad up to Antigua, Calypso is in real danger. Whoa, whoa, the lack of support naturally is slowly killing the artistry. Whoa, whoa, right here in Nevis, the art form is in a crisis. For the cultural competition, they could hardly find a Calypsonians to take part. Code attendance getting lower, Calypso is going under, while Groovy and Power Soca taking over. We cannot let the Calypso die.
No, no, we can't let it die.
Let us raise the standard up high.
No, 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 we can't let it die.
Calypso does give his heart and soul, so how would we leave it out in the cold? Now that we found a soca lover, we treating Calypso inferior. We cannot let the Calypso die.
No, no, we can't let it die.
Let us sound the battle cry.
No, 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 we can't let it die.
We draft contract regulation without consulting Calypsonians. That is nothing but disrespect. The Calypsonians had to reject. We cannot let the Calypso die.
No, no, we can't let it die.
I want to hear the louder cry.
No, 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 we can't let it die.
We can't let it die.
No, no,
we can't let it die.
Okay, Astro, I want to stop there. And that song, right, speaks for itself in terms of where you felt the Calypso was at that time. And you mentioned in it, you couldn't even find 8 people to take part in the Calypso show because it was losing its popularity to the Jam and Wine and the soca Monarch, which don't have a lot of lyrics in it, and so on and so forth, right? You argue. How long ago that was? Can you remember? 10, 15 years? What? 5, 8?
Probably have been about 10 years, maybe.
About 10 years ago.
Maybe.
What's the health of it now?
It's much better. It's much better. I mean, recently for Culture, I mean, we had almost like 15, 16 registered. In St. Kitts, they initially started out with 69, but it dwindled down to 20 plus when the vaccination regulations and thing came into effect. So it's much better now. It's far better than it was back then. And over the years, at least since that song was sung, I've seen an increase in the numbers. Even in Nevis, we have had quite a few new entries into the arena, in Nevis especially.
You said it was losing some of its power or popularity to the, what you call it, the Soca Monarch and the Groovy and stuff like that. But a few years ago, I think the lovers of Soca Monarch and Groovy thought they were losing it to something else or somebody else. What do you think is the problem? How is it now? You think that the Calypso is still suffering as a result of the soca, which some people who prefer the Calypso argue that the soca is just
Well, maybe I should say it like this: if it's a positive that derived from COVID, in a sense, is Calypso was able to rebound, and that was able to be the glue that keep most of the people together and keep people sane and stuff like that. Because over that 2-year period from 2019 till now, soca made a comeback this year in St. Kitts. There were no Soca Monarch; it was just the Calypso on both islands. So you find that some of the people who used to sing soca end up in Calypso singing 1 or 2 Calypso songs. So it health was revived somewhat, and I'm hoping that it continue on that trend, because as I said, the numbers have increased in terms of registration and people taking part in the competition. So the rivalry is still there, but somewhat I think Calypso is now pulling back his powers and fame. Those for Calypso have decided, well, by this is the place to be.
If my history serves me well, you've never been a great participant in the other type, the Soca Monarch and so on and so forth. You didn't do a lot of that.
I think I just did 1 year. 1 year, just 1 year, way back when.
Why? You don't like it, or you what?
I love the music. I just don't think that I am one of the persons that would do justice to a soca song on the stage.
And it may come back to your roots. You can't dance.
I can't dance.
Okay. Hello. Good evening.
Good evening, and how are you? You have a full panel or just Oscar Brown?
Just Oscar.
Oh, just Oscar. Okay. I could remember in 1973 at St. Kitts when we at college here. The 3 of us coming on top of the class. Yes, still they call us Nevis Boo. So I am wondering if he get his share of being commented as Nevis Boo. And congratulations to him being king.
Thank you so much.
I don't study so much, but congratulations as the King Astro.
Thank you.
All right?
Yes.
So they call you Nevis Boo?
Yeah.
And you believe them?
If I believe them, they say it. I mean, you can't do anything until you be turned boo-boo by your own Nevis people.
Oh, okay.
All right?
Yeah, I got you.
Anyway, I'm going to put the question to you, Webbo.
No, you normally put questions to the panel, you know.
All right. Okay, let the question go here.
Yeah.
Okay. Assume your vehicle is down and you want to go from Charlestown to Gingerland, and from Charlestown to Gingerland they normally charge $3. But on this day you went on the bus to Gingerland and they tell you the fare is $5. $3 to go to Gingerland for the transportation and $2 for the gas that they put into their vehicle. How will you feel about that?
Well, you say you put it to Astro, but I'm kind of disconnected because what we're doing, actually, we're just speaking about Astro and his exploits in Calypso.
Yes, okay, I understand that. Okay, well, let me put it to whoever is here that they could answer. If you want to answer, you answer. I mean, I just leave it at that point because I have a couple more, but I'm just that one I deal with.
Okay, well. Okay, and so that's it?
No, but I have a lot more, but then I just want an answer from that, and then I'm going to feel sure whatever it is.
Yeah, but but I don't know. Let me try once more. So we are speaking with Astro only, King Astro, and we are speaking about his history and his exploits in Calypso. So that's what we're speaking about.
Yes, I understand that.
Okay, so your
just
question is a sort of riddle in under that heading?
No.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, why don't you work with me next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday.
Yeah, when we, put everything else on the table.
Good shot.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and thanks much.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Astro. So we were at the point where you didn't do the other type of songs, right? But you concentrate heavily. I'm trying to see if I'm reading you right in terms of the material that you do. You do more topical and lyric, topical songs, and what people would call serious songs. You do a little jam and wine, but most of your songs, as we normally call them, message songs. Am I correct?
Definitely, most definitely.
Is that by design? Is that deliberate?
Very early I recognized that was my style. I recognized that I wouldn't be one who'd be prancing up and down the stage and stuff. I'm more of a calypso, how they would term, place your shots, you deliver your songs, and the messages have to be, I rather my songs to be on the issues of the day, and that would impact people in a kind of way, and bring the issues of people to the fore and stuff like that. So very early I recognized that had to be my style, and that was my little clique to hold on to that.
Okay, that's why you did this.
Dan 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 dan. Everybody have their own definition of what constitutes a good calypso song. Politics is a big criteria if you want to be people pleaser. The song should cost the government in power. Say how the leader is a failure. Others want you sing about progress. Say how the economy is a success. Sing on the projects and development. Say how the country money is well spent. But if you support Labour Party, you would want me cause it's in unity. So you see my dilemma. Everybody have their own agenda. Someone's slackness and slander align people character. If you want to be a hit maker, so if you expect me to sing about this unity, and you want to hear there is division in the party, and the prime ministership must share the bounty, because all the premier want is only equity. If that is what you want to know, you won't get that from King Astro. Not in my Calypso, not from the King Astro. If all you want is a papi show to drag the art from way down low. Not in my Calypso, not from the King Astro. If you want nigga business and all that them say, keep hearing until I don't tell me. And if you want to hear me sing about things just to please you, well, I'm sorry, really sorry, I have to disappoint you. Dan 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 dan. When they come to hear Calypsonian, some love humor, some love jam and wine for their enjoyment, and walk up there
the union. How they rip off over 1 million. Despite the COVID situation, you still want me act like a comedian. So with that criteria, the message really don't matter. You must feed the fans on a platter, a belly full of laughter, if you want to be most popular. So if you expect me to sing about the COVID lockdown, causing Labour to lose the elections on the ground, how they get more votes than what John could be about. But you won't hear that coming from King Astro mouth. So if that is what you want to know, you won't get that from King Astro.
Not in my Calypso,
Not from the King Astro. So if all you want is a comic show to make the crowd go ho ho ho,
not in my Calypso,
not from the King Astro. So if you want to hear the business and all that them say, we bearing and tear don't sell me. And if you want to hear me sing about things just to please you, well, I'm sorry, really sorry, I have to disappoint you.
Okay, now that's exactly an example of what you were just talking about.
Yes.
You decided from early, this is where you want to go. You remember when you did that, and how did you place?
I did that actually last year, 2020 in St. Kitts, and I didn't place. I didn't place. There was an unfortunate mishap, and that night at the show, and I suffered from it, so I really didn't had a good performance on that night.
But going in, how did you feel about that? Because it is a pretty strong song, and it was very popular at the time.
What I said this year, that I was supposed to be repeating this year, because that was the feeling that I had. I placed in the semi-finals. I placed a close third in the elimination, but I'm never really worried about in the semi-finals, because I know on the night of the final I will bring my A game. And when most of the sorry, most of the persons who had my eyes on that night had already sang ahead of me. Those the contenders, those that I see as the contender. Queenie G had a very strong song, so I was very worried of her, but I was coming just before her. And I said, you know, when I finish with this song, they would not even remember Queen G was in the competition. But I was going along smoothly, and then boom, this happened. It was one of those. It was one of those nights that it seemed like everything was going to go wrong. Because when I took the mic to go on the stage, it was covered with lipstick, so they had to go and clean it. And then when they came back, the music sheet blew over. I saw a whole heap of drama, stuff that went on the night. But going into the show, I felt very, very, very confident. I said, I know if I go and I drop this song like how I did it, like how I feel about it, it will be very difficult to stop me on that night. And my name was one of the names I was being called, you know, this crown is for Astro to win. And I felt like that going in on that night. I really felt so.
So that was one occasion, because it's always interesting to hear what happened behind the scene, because what happens is a lot of folks will listen to the songs on the radio. They would not go to the show, they would not listen to the show, but then they figured by, you know, listening this, that's a pretty good song, sounds very good, and then when you hear the result the next morning, so why didn't Astro win?
Yeah, that's true.
So that happens all the time.
Yes.
Because it is the night and what happens there.
On the night of the show.
That sometimes make the difference. So now I'm a kind of curious person. Do you think the lipstick on the mic had anything to do with you? Those mishaps? Don't answer.
I don't have an answer.
But so that song, and that would be an example, would you say, of one of the times when you felt that you were going in, that you were going to win the competition, and for some reason you didn't win.
Yes, that was one of those nights.
were there any other time or times when the opposite happened? You felt you didn't have your A game, you weren't the best that you could be, but then you hear second runner-up, first runner-up, and the king is Astro.
In terms of winning,
in terms of you may not have had, in your view, as strong a material as this, for instance. You might feel that the material you had this year but you had to put in more work.
There have never been an instance for me in terms of winning the competition that I felt like I didn't win on that night. The times that I've won the competitions, I really felt like I was way ahead. I mean, I always felt there was sometimes when I have a song that I'll say, unless something got drastically wrong, it would be difficult to beat. But there was one time that I placed second run up in Nevis, and I was rather surprised actually. I really thought that I wasn't in the top three. In my performance really wasn't, in my opinion, didn't merit that position. For me personally, I guess the judges saw it different. But in terms of winning the competition, I've never had that feeling that, I didn't do it tonight. When I left the stage and on the 3 occasions that I've done it in St. Kitts, I was pretty confident that I was going to be crowned.
Let's concentrate on St. Kitts first in terms of your winnings, and then we'll come back to Nevis, where you first won. But you went to St. Kitts, and before that, a number of our Calypsonians would go to St. Kitts, and they will get into the competition, maybe make it as far as the finals. But at that given time, you had Miko, you had this and that, and you had Flamingo, who did it before in terms of going, and some of the other Calypsonians. Ginger did, I think, on one occasion maybe, or it might have been an independence competition. But then there's always, the debate as to whether or not one thinks that a Nevision can go into St. Kitts and win the St. Kitts crown, bringing in all sort of other, outlying factors and stuff like that. You decided that you were going to go to St. Kitts and you were going to go through the tent, etc., and come up. When you went, realizing that others had gone before you, but never was able to win, what was your thinking?
I entered St. Kitts with pretty much a confident attitude, and it born from the 25th anniversary of independence, when I actually performed for the first time in St. Kitts in front of a crowd, a live audience. And the call, I didn't place in that show, I think I placed maybe about 10th or whatever. But the calls I got after that show from people from St. Kitts who say, you have to come over, Astro, you have to come over, we want you over here. So it was like there was something, it was the people who was calling me and asking me to come. And what I think would have made the difference with me is that I did all the tents, every single tent that held that year. I went to the tent, so I built a fan base. So when I reached to Carnival Village, I had Kittitians cheering for me, I had Nevisions cheering for me, and I remember saying to Pension, boy, people seem to love me down here, boy. I am rather surprised, and I said, Pension, give me a couple of years and I'm going to win this crown, because I feel Kittitians wanted me to win. There was people in St. Kitts who actually were saying that, we're backing you. We used to back X before, but since you come, it's you. So I had that thing, that confidence going with me, that I had the support in St. Kitts, I had the support of the fans, not just Nevision, but Kittitian fans who was encouraging me to come over and do my thing. So I went in with that level of confidence that this can happen. And one thing about me, I always tell myself, if I'm going to enter anything, I enter to win. I'm not in there just to come second and to make up numbers. I believe in myself that I could win, and all I wanted was the material to win. And I always know that there will come a time when Pension will write something that would hit it out of the park.
You mentioned Pension, but not everybody knows who is Pension. So why don't you tell us a little about who is Pension, what he does with you and all that?
Creighton Crusader Pension is have been my writer from since 1999. He have wrote practically all the songs. More than 70-80% of the songs that I've sung since 1999. The first 2 times that I won the competition, he wrote 40 songs. The 4 songs that I won with in Syncits, and he wrote the other one of the songs from this year. He and I have had this relationship. Reluctantly, let me back up. He didn't want me to make it public. He felt like I would be penalized if people knew that someone was writing for me. And I said to him that I cannot take credit for his work. I have to give a man his jacket. If it wasn't for him, I honestly don't feel like I would have been motivated to go on, because it's so easy to call Pension and say, Pension, I want to sing a song about Webbo. And Pension would tell me, well, just send me 1 or 2 notes about Webbo and I'll get a song about Webbo. So it's easy for me now to get my songs to go in the competition. If I probably had to be worrying about writing, maybe I would not have made it. And I've always said, if there wasn't Creighton Pension with me, there would have been Astro, maybe still astronaut, but there would never have been a King Astro.
You know, and always commended you for that, the courage and the honesty. Because you know, back when I used to the commentary at the Calypso shows and stuff like that, and you just touched on it, it wasn't always a nice thing to let people know that somebody was writing your songs, because even other Calypsonians, even Short Shirt and so on, and Swallow that you mentioned earlier, they used to crucify Short Shirt by saying that he doesn't write his own songs, and so on. But as far as I know, you never shied away from it, and you just pointed out this person wrote the songs, right? And to me, it is part of why around here now it is become, maybe not totally, but partially accepted, so that a person is not looked on with scorn if they learn now that this person wrote this song. It was a kind of thing, maybe to some degree it still is, where everybody wants to take all of the credit. But you're saying not you.
Not me. I couldn't do that, because here was this guy slaving away at creating a melody, coming up with lyrics that could propel me to win the crown, and I will go around and say, well, I write that song. And within my heart, my conscience, I couldn't allow myself to go down that road. And Pension never wanted it. As I said, he never wanted it. He said, no, keep it a secret, leave it between us. I said, no, Pension, I would not do that. I will have to give you the credit for your work. And
so you won the first time in St. Kitts when?
In 2014.
2014, and then you won again in
2015.
So you did what nobody else in Nevis did. First of all, you won in St. Kitts, and then you went back to back.
Back to back.
You were surprised when you went back to back?
No, not at all. During that competition, there was Ayatollah was the threat that they claimed they had. Ayatollah was the threat that they said would dethrone me. I know the material I had was strong. I had a song called Reparations, and from the throne speech, we were drawing numbers the day, and Ayatollah pulled number 1, and he said, "Oh well, it's all over, game, set, and match." And I pulled after him, and I pulled number 2, and I said, "By King, when I finish with you tonight, nobody will remember you was on the stage." And so said, so done. It was like, because he came back in the second one and he was nowhere to be found, and I actually eliminated him very early in the game. From round 1, he was nowhere to be found, and after him, there really wasn't any other threat in the competition on that specific night.
Why do you think that of the Calypsonians who used to perform in St. Kitts before you and who were very popular and very good, but there is sometimes a formula, because as we said, earlier, you had this very strong song. We listened a bit of it, and then on the night, different things happened, and so, you know, it didn't give you the success on that given night. Why do you think that somehow you're able to put the package together and do what others have not done?
Teamwork is essential, Webbo. We cannot do all by ourselves. I realized very early that I needed a team, especially in Syncits. So what I did, I employed the services, not financially. I had some friends over in Syncits who was keen to work with me. They actually invited me over to a meeting, and we met at KFC along with Pension, and we discussed the songs. In the first year, we discussed the songs, and they said to me, all we want you to do on the night of the show is to show up and sing. We're going to prepare all your props, because in Syncits, props is a big thing. You know, like the stage show. So they said, we're going to prepare all the props. We are going to do everything. All we need you for you to do, come down early enough, get some rest, be ready to perform on the night of the show. And that took a lot of stuff, a lot of burden from me, took a lot of burden off my shoulders, because here I was, didn't have to run up and down to get props to the venue. When I reached there, I see this toilet about big as Van Radio in the first year, and they said I said, wow. They said that is mine. So it's the teamwork. I realized earlier you need teamwork. I had people like Murray, who was very instrumental in being there to make sure that my suit was precise and prompt. My wife and son, they were always there. So it was like a group of us traveling together, and we traveled with this mission. I again, it goes back to the thing, if I was doing it alone, I may have missed piece of the puzzle. But they were able to put everything together. Murray would tell me, man, the suit didn't look good, so try something else, because I run the suits by him before I go on stage. So there was different people contributing, and I realized very early that I needed that. So I was never going to Syncits and then had to call and say, hey Jim, I want you to come on stage with me tonight, because that was taken care of by my team. So all I did was show up on the stage on the night of the show. They said, know your song, go and perform your song like you're singing for your life. And that was all I had to do. And I believe that was the key factor for me in Syncits, is that I had this group of people. Because it would have been difficult to have props made in Nevis, transport to Syncits, or having in Nevis to be worrying about what is going on in Syncits in terms of props. These people was there on the spot to ensure that these things were looked after. And that to me was a big part of why I feel like I'm successful in Syncits and continue to be successful.
And so the team, and indeed it's almost with everything. If you do and you organize and each person play their part and they play it well in unison, there's a good chance that you'll succeed. When you won in Syncits, because of the Syncits Nevis rivalry and so on and so forth, there were some people who were not happy, right?
Yes, there were some, yes. and up to today, they are still not very happy.
But you did what you have to do.
I did what I had to do, and I did what they couldn't do.
And you'll continue doing what you have to do.
Yes.
Now, so you won in 14, you won in 15. This is 21, right? Won in 21. What happened between 15 and 21?
15 and 21, those were the a couple of years. After I defended, I didn't place when I defended the second time around, and then I didn't sing. I didn't think I sang in. I sang in the 2018. That was the election year. Actually, I didn't make it to the finals. I was then called to be as the alternate because someone didn't make it to the show, but I didn't take part. I bypassed that show. 2019, I didn't compete, and it came back in 2019. I came back and I came first run-up actually, and didn't place in 2020.
Okay, let's bring in the Nevis end of your work now. When you won in 2014, you were performing in Nevis as well. Were you the winner in 2014 in Nevis?
No, I had placed, I think, first run-up in 2014, but I actually won in 2015.
Because you won you were the king on both
islands at the same time.
The same time. So you sang about how many times in St. Kitts? Competed in the finals?
2008 to 2021, that would be about 13 years.
About 13 years, and you won 3 times.
3 times.
That's a healthy percentage.
Very healthy percentage.
And that's one of the things that is very intriguing to me, because you are. I'm almost sure if you do the numbers, you might be one of the winningest persons in the competition, because you've not been singing all that long in that competition, but you won, a number of times.
That's true.
In Nevis, how many times have you won?
4 times.
And there you go, and you've been singing in Nevis much longer.
Like 25 years, somewhere close to 25 years.
And so that's what I'm saying. Why do you think that you're more successful in St. Kitts than in Nevis?
That's a difficult question to answer. I've never actually done the analysis as to why. Sometimes I think I may get into trouble for saying this, but I do believe within my heart and that I am more accepted in St. Kitts. I'm more appreciated in St. Kitts. Unfortunately, I think that's, for me, that is how I feel going into the competition. I always feel like in Nevis, I am competing against history. I'm competing against people who are before us, and there are some people in Nevis who are still not certain that they recognize anybody outside of a certain set of people as Calypsonians. And in St. Kitts, I feel like when I go there, I'm on equal ground with anybody. And I have had to work even harder in Nevis to try and prove that I'm worthy of being called a Calypsonian. I'm not saying that I've never thought myself as being the best, because I don't even think I'm close to being the best that we ever had. But what I will always say, that I think that I've worked one of the hardest of anybody as a Calypsonian. But I believe in Nevis, I continue to have to prove myself to the people and to the judges. There have been years that I felt like, I think I had the material, I performed to the level to win, and it never happened. In St. Kitts, when I compete and I feel like I've put on a winning performance, like I felt on these 3 occasions, I felt I was rewarded with the just rewards.
Do you think then that because here it's an interesting area. Do you think the standard, therefore, is different in St. Kitts as opposed to Nevis? Why? Because you said, and you gave some reasons for it, but you said in Nevis, you seem like no matter what you do, you seem like you got to work much harder, twice as hard, 3 times as hard. Not necessarily that you didn't put down the quality performance, but you mentioned, well, I don't know, there's something amiss. I've always struggled with it and to figure out what it is. And one of the things that I've always said too, I feel like I'm held to a different standards to the other Calypsonians in Nevis. And my reason for saying that, I know that there are Calypsonians in the past in Nevis who have sung in competitions and used the song that they sang in St. Kitts, and actually won the crown with those songs. And one year we were late with the second song, and I sang a song that I did in St. Kitts in the semi-finals, and I was chastised by the public. I shouldn't be allowed to sing a song in Nevis that I sang in St. Kitts. And I know people have done it and continue, and up to this they are still doing it, but they are never held to the standards that I'm held. So I tell myself, wow, it seems as if people are expecting me they see me as a leader somewhat, so they expect me to maintain this level of professionalism in my presentations. How dare I bring an old song for them in Nevis and so forth. That is how I felt, and I've said people have won competitions with songs that they use in St. Kitts. And again, it goes back, I don't know what it is, but I don't think the standard is higher one way or the other. I just feel like the St. Kitts public and the St. Kitts judges had a deeper appreciation for quality calypsos, and that has always been my analysis of the little analysis that I did of the situation. I've always take me back to that position, is a greater appreciation for calypso over in St. Kitts. I'm trying to see, with all the years of experience that I have doing this sort of thing, I'm at a loss of how to frame this question. You think, therefore, that in Nevis, based on what you just described, sometimes when we are operating, use a phrase that Edric normally uses, there's something sometimes fishy about it?
I tend to feel so, Webbo. I definitely feel so. And, you know, I am never one, right? Over the years, I've had some moments where I feel really slighted. I feel like I just wanted to give up and pack it in on the Nevis end, because I have always said that I believe that I will demit the Nevis scene before I ever leave St. Kitts. I've always said that. Yes, Culturama was what gave me the platform to go there, but I think St. Kitts has been the area that I've really recognized the quality of the work that I do, and I think they have shown greater appreciation. And I said, I know potential judges are listening to me here tonight, and really I say it without any fear, because if I'm ever to say, well, I've had enough of doing 2 competitions per year, Culturama will be the one, unfortunately, that I will walk away from, and I walk away from it without any reservations. Because again, I go back to the thing that I look at my work, I look at the shows that I've performed in, I've seen such, and I have always tried to shun away from saying that they cheat, because I said the judges see it as they see it. But I mean, there are times when I feel really broken, because I know, boy, I have put down something out of this world, and when I look at the results, and then to even look at it, the competitions at times are not even close. I mean, there was one year that I felt like I performed out of my skin, and I still lose by about 70. And I said, well, what show were they looking at? And that was one of the moments that I said, really and truly, I don't think that I should be involved in this competition anymore, because I'm really not getting the love and respect. I'm not saying that I mean, there are times I know I win, and people would come to me and said, but Astro, I feel like you won tonight. I said, no, you weren't looking at the show that I was performing in, because for me personally, I wasn't there on that show to the level of winning the show. But there are times when I know that I've sing my heart out, I perform my heart out, and then you look and you see, you call and your first run up, and then the king call, you lose by like 60 points, and you said, wow, that means I was really awful tonight.
See, you think sometimes, as you just mentioned, sometimes people would say the cheat and stuff like that. You think sometimes things are fixed?
In my opinion, really, I think it's very difficult to have a show. You'll have to have people of like morals, low morals that are very low and very unethical, to have a group of people, like 7 people out there, sit there to fix a show. I just think that what happened on the night of the show, that some of these judges is going with a mindset that this is who they see as the king, and sometimes I don't think they pay attention to every aspect of the criteria and the way that you judge. And allow me to say, because take for example, the Calypso criteria, there are areas that complements each other. You cannot tell me that I had good lyrical fit and etc., and then you're going to tell me that the wordcraft was poor, or the lyrics was poor, but you have good lyrical fit. All those categories, if one is poor, in my opinion, all should be poor. You can't tell me that the arrangement was, the music was poor, but the arrangement was good. If the arrangement is good, then in my opinion, the music, because the music is what make the arrangement good. And when you look at some of these score sheets, you see things like lyrical fit, you get 2 over 15, 2 over 5, and then you look at wordcraft or whatever, something, and you look and you see you get 9 over 10 and stuff like that. These are areas that complement each other, and so if one is poor, in my opinion, all have to be poor, all have to be good. And then you look at a score sheet, and 4, 5 of the judges, 6 of the judges have you like high 70s, and then one would score you 40. Then these are the things that you start to question and wonder what is. And so I look at it, it's very difficult to fix as a group. You'll have to get all people to come together, but the mindset they're going with is that this is what we are going to do. No matter who sing tonight, this man will win this crown, because I'm going to put, that is how I see it.
You think, first of all, they always say the judges are trained, and secondly, you think perhaps we're getting these results because the pool of judges is very small. Because I had a discussion one time, and I placed a $1 bet, and I told them in the discussion that next year, for instance, I could reasonably tell you maybe 80% of who will judge.
And that is true, and that has been an issue, really. And one of the things that have baffled me over the years, and if you looked at the panel, and you have been around Calypso from since I've been there, the teachers, the doctors, the lawyers, the civil servants, you hardly ever see a layman, a man that, that just, work a little construction or something, doesn't have any bachelors or whatever. You hardly see them on a judges panel. Most of the time you see the people on the panel are people who you will take from the echelons of society and stuff like that, and that in itself creates a problem, because these people at times really don't understand. One time, for example, a question was asked about why a specific judge was on the panel, and they said that judge is the best grammar teacher that we have ever had. The best grammar teacher we ever had. So I said, but we are not doing language arts out there. There's a combination of factors that you have to judge. So this judge is not there just to judge the English language. They have to judge whether the wording fits with the music and the melody and stuff like that. But that is the mindset of the people who choose the judges.
Well, in that case, then the public, perhaps somewhere in the public may want to know, well, so the Calypsonians don't have a say on what, and if they don't, why don't they agitate to have a say?
At times they ask us to choose judges, but the situation is that all we keep asking is that you have a trained pool, because if I'm going to choose, I would feel like Webbo will be favorable to me, so I'll ask for Webbo to judge, and everybody would ask for somebody they feel would be favorable to them. People are not going to want to put judges there who they feel would be unfavorable to them. So it's difficult. The Calypsonians could have their say, but I still believe at the end of the day you must have the confidence that you could get good people to think. I mean, like for example, last year in the cultural amateur, I walk into the village, and a gentleman said to me, "Oh, I bring Sinkits band up here to play music for you and whatever." Next thing I don't I getting ready to sing, and he's sitting at the judge's table. And that was what he said to me leading up to the show. I mean, right away you sense there was some sort of attitude towards who was playing the music, but yet he showed up. And so you have to think always. You have to preview these judges and decide how you're going to choose them. I remember going back. There was a situation some time ago, and the Calypsonians shouldn't be made to eliminate bad judges. And Suti was the chairman of Culturama or Calypso, and there was a specific judge who gave a Calypsonian 1/10 for every single category in both rounds. And there was another judge who gave practically the highest mark that they gave, and that night was like 40 plus. And Suti said he can't have judges disrespecting his Calypsonians like that. So we, as the Calypsonians, we didn't have to go to the committee and ask them to get rid of these judges. Suti took it upon himself because of the scores that he see, and said, no, these people can't come to disrespect my Calypsonians like this, and he eliminated them without us having to ask him to. And I feel like that should be the way you could look at these judges, and you could know when people are capable of doing the job. And a lot of the persons who showed up at the judges' table, they're really not capable of judging the Calypso, and that's my frank opinion. They came, and they may know one aspect of things, and they're asked to judge. But when you scrutinize the score sheet, they really don't have the know-how of how to judge the Calypso.
You think sometimes they bring their personal acts to grind there?
Well, that too, because one of them actually sang on me and cussed me out in a song, but showed up to judge me. you know. But I'm not one to make noise about that. And one of the things that I've always prided myself on over the years, that I've never been critical of the judges. I've always said the decision that they make is the one. I will have my little circle and quiet corner where I said, well, I feel maybe I was slighted, but publicly I've always respected the position that they took. And I mean, and it's not like I'm bashing judges too, because judges have marked in my favor. I could remember a semi-final show that I won by close to 60 points, and I personally went to the committee and I said to them, if I'm going to go out and sing in the finals and sing these same two songs, and sing them as good as I do here, it would be very difficult for these same set of judges who score me that high to come back on that night and score me lower than how they score me there, and it will be unfair to the other Calypsonians to go in with those judges. And I asked the committee, I said, in fairness, for us to have a good show, I really feel like you should eliminate as much of the judges as possible. And when I said that to the chief, he said, "Are you serious? The judges just score you so high?" I said, "No, but we want a good competition, and I want at the end of the day that if I go into this competition, that I win this competition on merit, and not because people feel like someone was in favor of me." And that has always been my thing. It's all about the Calypso for me.
By the way, I deliberately didn't ask people to join in yet. But if you'd like to join in the discussion now, you can do so. But some people see you as, you had mentioned in a song earlier that you're singing no politics. But some people see you as just that. Let's listen to this first and then come back. Okay, somebody's been, hello, good evening.
Good night, Webbo.
Yes, you wanted to join in. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good night to the king.
Good night, my brother. How are you?
From another mother. I am good. Congratulations again. Let me say it publicly now. You know, I don't message you earlier o'clock.
Thank you.
But let me drop this little, what we call it, a light moment. Webbo. A couple years ago, I sent some documents to Astro to look about some business to me. Nevis. Astro, I never did tell you this. I don't say it now. When I hand the documents to the crew and the board, you know what he whispered to me? Is this Astro song? And the song, because I said the document is for Astro, he asked me if that's one of his songs.
Yeah. Yes. I remember this song used to come over in envelopes at one time, envelope with a cassette in there a long time.
Yeah. I'm enjoying the conversation, man. Congratulations again.
Thank you, my brother.
So you used to be the messenger to send it with us. Okay, all right.
Okay,
thank you. Okay, so this is it, Astro.
Allowing to be a politician. I want to win the next election. Allowing real hard to fix the tree.
Okay, hello, good evening. I asked them to call, you see, so they're doing that. So go ahead, please.
Yes, hello. Good evening, good evening. I'd like to congratulate Astro for winning, 3 times over in Sinkit. For me, for a division to go over to Sinkit and win anything 3 times, there got to be something special about that person. And also congratulations to his songwriter as well. They make a great team. An observation though, I listened to the competition over in Sinkit. I looked at a few of the tents and everything, and they had an all-star band, which did a great job. I mean, they're veteran musicians, really good musicians, and even in the tents, they sounded really, really good. I don't remember seeing, they call it an all-star band, I don't remember seeing any division in that all-star band, not unless they had him hidden in a room someplace to the back. Over in Nevis, they also have something called an all-star band, with most of the musicians are from Sinkit, along with Easy and Macefield. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's a Sinkit band with Easy and Macefield. My question, I know this might be putting you on a spot, but how comfortable are you, singing with that kind of arrangement?
Well, personally, personally, I have no problem with it. Yes, I actually had a question. I actually asked a question about it because I was really hopeful that, for example, someone like Macy would have made it to that team. Unfortunately, they didn't pick him, but that was one of my questions. But It's the same musician that I sing with in Nevis, so basically it's the same thing over in Singles. I have no qualms and no fear that of anything ill towards will happen to me when I sing with them. I'm really confident when they are backing me. Yeah.
You know, it's an interesting point the caller brought up, and it can go beyond you as a Calypsonian, right? It can go on the organizers.
Yes.
You know, who organize in the band, right?
That's true.
Good evening. You mentioned about Suti, you know, putting down. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Good night, brother.
Yes.
And good night to the King Astro.
Good night.
Yeah, this is Mr. Politics here.
Mr. Politics.
I'm a Calypso, but I used to sing at the community level.
Okay.
I was on the big stage. Now, Mr. Astro, I want to commend you again, wish you all the best. So when you come 3 times and you sing 50 Federation Crown, and then 4 times in Nevis, you know, is it?
Yes.
Well, you are almost successful than your mother Nevis, as you said. And I think you should continue. Because the people make the outcome, and the judges always final when they make the judgment. And this is something here about teamwork, and teamwork is very good, especially when you're thing organized. That's why I believe that's lack of some more Calypso in here. They have no teamwork. And very well come with something different. Understand?
Yes, thanks.
I believe Ayatollah had no help with teamwork and other people to help him right the Calypso. I think he will successfully do a better job in the competition. Because in the most of the time you come with one good song, and in the second time it falls flat. So I want to commend you again. And whether who makes it or not, whether who needs like become kingdom you cheat 3 times and you can clean up 4 times, that is your work and is your performance and the contribution you make to the federation, and that is just it. I always listen to the Calypso and you are constructive. And I want to commend you for the attention.
Thanks so much.
I think he's very versatile, always do a good job. And try to give really want. And if it's something you put in your input too.
Yes.
Because you can't commit everything and you just do everything. You have to pick out something else and put in something for yourself.
Of course.
All right then, you do a wonderful job. All right,
yeah,
good night.
Okay, good
Happy
evening.
New Year to you and Danny Radio.
Thank you, and the same
All
return to you. Yeah, you know, Astro is really interesting, and one of the things, again, like I said, and you know that, as I said, I deliberately did this, and, you know, I wanted to talk to you at length, so that not just via the songs, people could understand what is behind it. And it is evident, you and I talk, and so I would know some of the things and the kind of hard work that you put in. And it also would reveal, you know, I like to fight for underdogs because I'm one. and you can see that I'm detecting, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you feel that you are one as well.
Yeah.
And you have to keep fighting and performing twice as good. But what the evidence shows is that you're good.
Thank you, Webbo. I you know, like a practicing lawyer, practicing doctor, I see myself as a practicing Calypsonian. I keep practicing to get better. Webbo, I mean, I listen to a stiff diet of Calypso. I try to get ideas from those who have things. I remember in the early stages, I isolated tapes of Miko and this and that and try to take a piece from them and stuff like that. I look at them because there was the standard that you had to set yourself at to surpass them. And I take a little bit of their style and I try to think, because I said you cannot be successful at something unless you practice. And I continue to work hard, and I continue to see I've never entered a competition and feel like, this is for me. Yes, I know the material can get me there, but I've never feel like I have to feel like I have to go and work to get it. I'm not going to say, but I take it for granted that I probably have the best songs in the competition. I'm going to go and work myself out to ensure that I give a performance, merit the quality of the song, so that if everything come together, it'll be impossible to lose.
When you won in St. Kitts, at any time, this and that or Miko were in the same competition?
No. I competed with this and that twice in St. Kitts. The first year when I entered in 2008, and I placed third runner-up the very first year that I competed in St. Kitts, and I think this and that placed second runner-up. And then I competed with him again in 2009, and I placed the first runner-up behind Sakuti, and he came, I think, was the third runner-up. And that was the last time that we competed against each other in St. Kitts.
You never been in a competition with Elimat?
No.
Never sang in a competition. Ever sang with Conwis in a competition?
The very first year that I sang.
With Conwis. But you sang a couple of times with Sakuti.
Sakuti, yes. Ayatollah. Never with Star Shield either. Well, competitions outside of Carnival I've competed against Star Shield in a St. Kitts Nevis competition, but never on a St. Kitts Nevis national Carnival competition.
How you think you would have fared with Elimat and the likes? You think you would have been able to hold your own? Because some people put those fellas in a class by themselves. And even in basketball, they would try and take a stand now and say, well, how would he have matched up against Jordan and so on? How you think you'd have?
My simple answer is if I've competed against two of the best, not just from Nevis, but two of the best Calypsonians anywhere in the region, in this and that and Miko, and I've came out ahead of them. And I feel in those years when I was in when those years in St. Kitts, when I started to learn what it takes to win, I always wanted any comers. I feel like I would have done well against them. I competed against Conwis once. It was he won the show, yes, but I felt like I competed and I felt like I was recognized. I believe on my day, because I know for a fact that I will have songs at the level that they have, the quality of material to win. And just for me to bring my performance to the stage, I personally feel like on my day, I would have been able to beat them.
In reference to Conwis is threatening to come back in the competition. You're the defending king. Are you worried he's going to come back next time and beat you?
Not worried at all. I welcome the challenge.
Let me get a break. This is Thought That Get Results. We're with the Federation, the King Astro. He won the competition in the last carnival, and we thought that we'll speak with him. When we come back, you can call if you want to be a part of the conversation, or just to congratulate him at 1-869-469-1616 or 1700. We'll be back after this.
Is offering a large variety of floor and wall tiles at very competitive prices. Builders Paradise has over 2 million pieces in stock, lots of different styles to choose from. Whether you're renovating or tiling a new house, Builders Paradise has what you need. Wow! Oh, and remember, we're open all day Saturday to serve you better. This is something that you can't refuse. Visit Builders Paradise today at the C.A. Paul Southwell Industrial Site in St. Kitts, or call them at 466-4938.
When VON vibrates, the whole Caribbean must shake.
860 AM, the powerhouse.
I can make it or not. To be a politician, I got to be smart. I started right now to launch me campaign. I promise you that money gon' flow like rain. Under the table, I wheeling and dealing. Morals and values to me don't mean nothing. Vote for me for prosperity. Vote for me for a booming economy. Vote for me for food on your plate. I'm your candidate, so feeling my dear, show the mandate.
That wasn't a joke, right? Because they say you're a politician too. So what's the idea behind that?
That song was all pension. I think he wanted a message to send a message to someone, and he used me to carry that message. Yeah, I had no input whatsoever in that. I did not even know what song. That was the very first song that he wrote for me. Yeah, I did not even know what he was going to write, but he sent me that song, and I actually liked it and thing. But there was no intention to be a politician behind it. I just wanted something nice
and
to
you
say.
just ended up being one.
Well, something so.
Yeah, but to come back again to the when you look at the crowns that you've got in Nevis, in St. Kitts now, and then you write certain lyrics and people attach you to what you write. Sometimes you can't separate the character from the person. So when you sing a song, people say, well, how come he says this and he is doing that? So you try to stick to the messages and live them?
There was one year that I did a song called Culturama Rule. That song was written by Tyrone O'Flaherty, Bahola the Meek. Nice song, catchy song, and a guy met me downtown and said, we don't want to appreciate that from you. You and Nevis chat us. We not expect no jam and wine from you. You got to bring the message to the people. So people have hold my feet to the fire for the material that I sing, and they expect a certain level of consciousness from me, and I've learned to accept. I've learned to accept that role, that I'm the messenger. Sorry, they view me as their chartless in the sense that he's always there with the message, the songs that speak of the ills and the pain and the celebration of certain aspects. So they hold me to that standard, that this is what we expect from you. We don't want you to be on stage running up and down like you're in a soca monarch. We're holding you. No, you got to bring the messages. Sing what the people feel. Sing how the people feel.
Because the Calypsonian gives certain messages and highlight certain things and so on. Now, in the Calypso arena, there's always some bacchanal. Can you recall taking any stands at any given point on an issue?
In terms of with the Calypso?
Yes. Let's take this. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Could you go ahead?
Winston Darkness, the Doctor of Culture in St. Kitts.
Yes, Zach.
Yes, I actually am home trying to some documents and so. But I just decided that I turn on my radio and voice sometimes, and instantaneously I pick up you and Webbo, and I decide I'm not moving, and I am so overwhelmed with the quality of interview and the presentation and the honesty, the dedication, and the thoughtfulness and everything of Astro.
Thank you so much.
I believe you are, from what I've listened for the whole night, the interview is exceptional. And your answer straightforward, to the point, and honest. And I like that sort of thing. I am overwhelmed. Seriously. The crowns you won, or why you won them, and this sort of thing, and the quality of presentations and the lyrical content and stuff. Because it gives the other Calypsonians a chance to recognize that when you're on stage, something like a power type of thing, always have to come with something creative, innovative, and something that could be played all over the world, not just in one specific country, but it could go beyond. It's a message of goodwill and consciousness. So I want to say, I want to congratulate you on your win, and just keep going forward.
Thank you so very much.
Yes.
Zach, thank you very much, and it's good to hear from you. And we want to encourage you to continue to do the work that you're doing as well in your culture, in the culture aspect of St. Kitts and Nevis. And Zach, I got to let you know, you sound like when you were 20. You sound real strong, and I hope that you're keeping well, and wish you all the very best. It's Winston Zach Nisbet, one of our cultural icons.
Yes.
Yeah. So Astro, we were saying in terms of have you taken any stand? Now, they say a good lawyer never asks a question unless they know the answer. Mm-hmm. And I want to let you know, I'm not no lawyer, but I know the answer to the question, but go ahead.
Well, I'm not sure I understand exactly what you mean in terms of taking a stand.
Like, there were any issues, and then, and then you said, well, listen, I'm not going to do A or B. We need this done or that done.
There have been some issues over the years, and there were times when I've threatened not to be a part of the competition. But again, it goes back to the forces behind you, the people who are there, the team who said no, you have to live and go past these things. You are here to bring your message to the people. It's not always about you and what you may like. But you also have to understand and appreciate that there are people who have expectations of you, and you have to think. I mean, back then there was the controversies with who was allowed to take part in Culturama. As recent as this year, I was asked, last year competition, we were asked to stand in solidarity with Calypsonians who are unvaccinated and stuff like that. And my answer to something like that was that I didn't take a vaccine because of Carnival. I didn't take the vaccine to sing in Carnival. I took the vaccine because I feel like it was the best way forward in terms of my health. But if I'm to benefit from it now, I'm not going to jeopardize that benefits because other people choose to make their decisions.
So you make your decision and you live with
my decision. I'm
okay, let me take this. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Well, good night again, Webbo. Good night again, Stevie Kinney.
Good night, Mr.
Astro. Yes. Now, would ask the question, right? That if you ever compete with Element or Star Shield, in a competition with Element or Star Shield, you ever go with Element or Star Shield?
No, I've never competed with them. I've watched them from afar.
I believe that you never competed with them, right? And you never see some powerful Calypso. I believe that if you competed with them, if you were there in them time and you competed with them, with those Calypso, the multi-crusader thing, and you take the materials and you sing with them, I believe that you might have done something big. At the time I did Element and Star Shield and Ranger and all those guys. I believe that you take them to do something good with them. Because as far as I'm concerned, you were very good Calypso and you could deliver. You could deliver. You could have a punchline them. And the punchline is very important. You understand?
Yes, yes.
And you have a very good writer. Because it seems to me you sit down and you are working out things very good. Because when you listen to some Calypso, up to this one, this the first time. Regarding
resilience.
First time.
Resilience.
Resilience, yeah. I said, let me tell you something about your song is a powerful song. If you got to listen to Calypso, I tell you about the song is a powerful song. Listen to song and consistent in listening to Calypso. And the second song then, I only heard one. And the second time again, I said, let me tell you something. I believe that we can pull it off. As long as you're in boss, or you make the slip up, you can pull it off. Pick it up at every party. I'm not here, my party like it's just Calypso and all them things. They tell him, I mean, Astro can pull it off. You understand? Sacrifice got to take this song too. The girl, Trinity had a good song, but I know that the place is a first song yet. Queen Diva, she had a good song. And I believe that they really excellent. They really win the competition. They really win. And, you know, I just want to wish you all the best again. I believe you're doing a wonderful job in bringing this side and the program so that people know that, you know, the capability of what can done in the Calypso. And the king this proposal. When we done with it, man, both other young Calypsonians to come up to continue to platform evening syncet and maybe to the culture and the other national carnival. You can help them to because
you're not a part of the competition, I do that. Yes. All right, take care.
Okay, thank you. Yes, that's true. So that is, you know, why I asked the question is to sort of bring out, as I said, I knew the answer,
yes.
but to bring out again, so that people would know a little bit more about you other than just on stage.
So yeah, I was basically saying, yes, I took my decision and I was confident and reassured that I made the decision that is best for me. Others choose otherwise, and why should I disqualify myself because others choose to make their decision? Why are their decision much more important to me than my decision to myself? So I said very early that no, I'm not going to be a part of any group who's going to boycott Carnival. I'm not here for that. I'm not involved in that level of politics. That is for the organizers and the Calypsonians who choose to go that route. And I hold my position until and I'm still confident and reassured that I made the decision that was best for me.
Do you see the being king in Nevis and being the Calypso king for St. Kitts and Nevis? Is there a higher quality, so to speak, that you put to one over the other? In other words, you feel that the being the Calypso king of St. Kitts Nevis for the carnival, as opposed to the culture I'm a Calypso king, one is a greater feat than the other?
Because of the significance of let me start with this one of the time, the 50th anniversary. This is the one that I relish and cherish most. Winning in Nevis for the first time was great. Was a feeling that well, I have done what I came here to do, and it was a sense of satisfaction that I have achieved what many others outside of the small circle couldn't do. And yes, I cherished it. But and then go back to the time when I won the first time in St. Kitts, and to repeat, it also had some significance in terms of whether I feel like one is a greater accomplishment. Yes, I do feel like winning in St. Kitts was for me, is a greater accomplishment than winning in Cultural. And my reason for saying that is because many have tried to do what I did in St. Kitts and couldn't do that. And I feel, for me, it will continue to be the highlight of my Calypso career. And so in that respect, yes, I do feel and hold one much dearer to my heart than the other.
But with regard to the standard or the quality of a performance, in other words, you feel that it is it's a better accomplishment beating this and that, beating Queenie G, Socrates, etc., as opposed to on a cultural stage beating Bingi, Miko, and this and that, etc.
No, I wouldn't analyze it in that respect. it was, for me, beating Miko and this and that was a crowning achievement. What make winning in sync it's much more pleasing is, as I said before, is because it's not because
the
of
other factors.
Yeah, not because of who I beat in sync, it's but because of the significance of what I achieve, and knowing that we have traveled, many have gone over there and couldn't accomplish. That is why, for me, that is more satisfying than.
But isn't that your game was much better
than what it is in Nevis?
And the competitors were much greater.
No,
there were certain things, hurdles, that Ginger and Miko and these guys were not able to do, but you did it.
Yes.
You put the formula together. You had a good team, because you indicated earlier that was necessary so that you're very relaxed, etc., and then to get the fan base, etc., and you put the whole thing. Interesting.
Yeah, so in that respect, yes, the significance of the hurdles, as you put it how I couldn't say it, that those were the factors that made these accomplishments for me more satisfying, more pleasing. But it's no mean feat to beat somebody like a Miko and a this and that at the top of their game. And to do that in 2003 was very satisfying as well. But to go forward to 11 years later and then be able to win in sync, it's that I hold dear, much dearer than anything else.
And then to have repeated, because not a lot of people have repeated in St. Kitts. And you never repeated in Nevis. Hollywood did that. You think you'll beat him the next time?
After I won in St. Kitts this year, I said the other thing to do again is to unify the crown again. So so that is my motivation to again.
You repeated in St. Kitts. You won both St. Kitts and Nevis. Not a lot of other persons have done that.
No.
In fact, nobody
has ever done that.
Nobody else have done that. And then, so in terms of a feat and history, you just need to repeat in Nevis.
Yeah, and yes, I just need to
repeat.
Yes.
The young Calypsonians, we don't see a lot of them. You moved quickly from junior to senior, but we've had a lot of junior Calypsonians in Nevis who did very well, and then somehow they don't enter the senior. You got any idea why?
That has always baffled me as well. For the last couple of years, in my recent memory, myself and Hollywood and Suki are the only one who have continued onwards. Well, Inspirer did it for a couple.
I just want to, as you said, Suki, I just want to mention, I don't know what you think, but I don't know him personally, but that guy is good.
Yes, I actually see him as the future. I'm hoping that he will continue, and he and I have had conversations. I have a tremendous amount of respect and love for him, and I always try to impart any little knowledge that I have to him.
He has a great confident style, and one of these days I'll interview him. But let's
so that is something that I can't put my finger on as to why, because we have had some really good junior Calypsonians. You had Steve, who was phenomenal at his game, and he never went on to the seniors. So I don't know, maybe there's some disconnect in between there. It make me wonder if they actually wanted to do this, or they were probably pushed to do this, why they never continued. Because, for example, someone like Steve is around. I can't recall him being out of Nevis for any lengthy period of time, and he has never ever competed in the seniors.
And maybe as the previous caller had encouraged you to try and see whether or not you can bring some of the young fellas. You said it also baffled you, so maybe you can look into it and see whether or not you can.
True.
And you said also in the early years, the Brown Hill, I used Clanish. What did you use?
You use Clique, I use Clanish.
You use Clanish, okay. Clanish is a Brown Hill. Is it still there?
It's not really that evident now, because a lot of people don't really go to the shows them like how they used to. Unfortunately, and again, as I said, there are barriers now that keep you so far away from the stage, so you really can't see the little pockets. Because I remember we used to sit on the ground, you know.
Yes,
we used to sit on the ground in front of the stage. Now they are there, but they are more dispersed throughout the thing. So, in terms of them going to sing, I have never really had a big contingent from Brownhill traveling with me to sing. I've had like numerous Nevisions traveling over as a group, because when they travel over, they came as they went as Nevis supporting a Nevision.
And the other thing that I notice with you and your roots in Brownhill and so on is the work ethic. And I must mention also, you had mentioned earlier in the when you were mentioning some of the folks out of Brownhill, Nazi, and in cricket and in Calypso, great work ethic as well.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of the work that they put into what they do.
Because I mean, I for one, and I could use Nazi as an example. We never saw Nazi as the great cricketing talent that he turned out to be. Nazi prowess in cricket came because he decided that he wanted to make a mark in cricket, and Nazi and I used to run from Brownhill to the Hot Bath and back and stuff, and Nazi would be we'll run from Brownhill to Swam to play cricket when somebody get left out of the side so we can get in. And Nazi pushed himself from there and work. Nazi will be a man hitting thousands of balls, like you have them up in the tree, and Nazi will hit them because he felt like he wasn't at the level of the name, the people in his era, like the Stuart Williams and those kind of. In order to compete with them, he had to work hard, and that was the same sort of mindset that I had with the Calypso. I never felt like I was the best talent in terms of Calypso, because even though I still, I mean, thanks to my good cousin Stacky up in Maryland, who sent me some, said, boy, you can't sing, and send me some voice training CDs and stuff that I listen over to. I still don't feel like I'm the best singer, but what I have learned to do is to work hard. And I always often tell people about a story as well. When I was even struggling to perform my songs on stage, Pension took me down to Bastille High School, put on his big PA system, and he showed me how to just gesticulate and move with the songs and things to do.
You think that honesty helped you? Because I remember talking to you, interviewing you, and then talking to you one-on-one. And you told me that. You told me, Webbo and I can't sing, so I put in the work.
Yeah.
Let me take this. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Yeah, good night again, Webbo. Good night to the king again. Sing this amazing Astro. Now, Astro, I have a concern. And my concern about, that King Nico, that win the crown, that Hollywood win the crown, that this and that win the crown, and King Chocolate win the crown. But it seems to me like no other Calypso people like Bingy win the crown too. People like Nazi and Wheeler and all those Calypsonians. Because then you really said Nevis Calypso with the Calypso very high. From the mission you heard them sing the Penalo. So I want to know why those man, those grassroots Calypsonians, like, not seeing them, man. Now, I call them grassroots, like, because they never play in a competition for the council in Nevis. And other younger Calypsonians who come in this thing.
Okay, caller, I'm going to ask you to finish up because we got to run, right?
I believe the mighty inspire, the young guy who come in 14 years and when we come too. And I believe that these guys who don't be themselves, is King this and that, this and that is you, Bingy, and I just want to know if the other Californian can't lift the standard a little higher.
Okay, alright.
Come to your level.
Okay, caller, I really got to go. But he got you. You can answer that quickly, Astro. He wants to know why other Calypsonians didn't break through and win the crown.
Maybe it's just not their time.
Okay. All right. Now, I figured that we, I really appreciated the discussion, Astro.
I too.
And I want to again, congratulate you on what you've done and the work that you've done over the years. The record and the evidence shows we just wanted to put it out there. So any final word?
Well, I also want to thank you. I want to thank you for having me. I mean, this was really a night well spent. And I want to thank all the fans and the support, the fans for their support over the years. I want to thank the Culture Armor Committee and things. Webbo, for me, Calypso is my mode of expression and of expressing myself and relating my feelings to people. I've always said that I don't sing songs unless I am comfortable with them. You have to come from within me to sing them. So if you hear me sing something, it's because I want to sing it in the sense. But after I matured, I mean, the only song that I've sung that I didn't want to sing was a long story called Null and Void. That wasn't my song, and I never even did it in the finals as good as it was. My song has to have the conviction, and I am happy that I've build my career on that level, that I must sing what I feel. If you see me sing a song that is remotely political in a competition, it's because that is what I feel I need to sing at that time. So I just thought I need to left that there with the crew. And before I go, Bob Hall has been a motivating force. You know, I remember some years ago he called me and he said, Astro, whenever you come to sing on the stage, I use that as the bathroom break or the beer break. And that was one of the things that pushed me to say, but I have to lift my game. And I'm happy now to say that Bob Hall has been a man who will call me and say, Astro, I can't wait for your new music to come out. I can't wait to see you on stage. So I was able to go from his bathroom break to one of his must-see Calypsonians. And those are the things that motivated me over the years. So again, thank you for having me. I think we had a beautiful night. I enjoy myself here with you tonight.
25 years and we're moving forward. Through all the difficulties it has survived. All the sacrifice, getting alive. The private sector, they couldn't contribute. For the good people, I now pay tribute. The participants who take part every year to create this festival atmosphere, maintain high standards and quality. I'll be moving to the next century. Proceed as stable conquest culture. 25 and getting stronger. Paving the way. I salute her.
The Federation's Calypso King, King Astro, Oscar Brown, the astronaut. Thank you. You all have a good evening. This program repeats tomorrow at 10 o'clock following the VON News Minute. Join the Honorable Mark Brantley tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock for On the Mark. Thank you all again. You all have a wonderful evening.
Views and opinions expressed in the preceding program are solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited.